on your ability to figure this out. We'll start with the easy stuff. So when you are doing the lab today, you are going to be fishing for antigens. The trays are set up like this with 3 ovals. I believe RH is on that one, and RH, A, and D. And you have blood, artificial blood, taken from 4 artificial people with artificial samples. And you're going to take a drop, let's say we're looking at Mr. Smith, and you're going to put 2 or 3 drops of Mr. Smith's blood here, and here, and here. Okay? Same person's blood in all 3. And then you'll have 3 different anti-serums. So this is blood drawn from a fake animal that the clotting proteins have removed, and we have the concentrations of antibodies against B, concentration of antibodies against the RH factor or D, and against A. So put 1 to 2 drops of each of these in here, and mix it up with a toothpick. Well, that's erasing it, but anyway.
Oh, at the same time, right?
So you do the different toothpick for each vial. All right, and if you are looking for it won't exactly show as dots, but it'll get thick and not flow very well. And so it will have agglutinated, not clotted, but agglutinated. So let's say it looks like this, and these 2 still flow pretty freely when you tilt it back and forth. They haven't thickened. So I have what antigens? Remember, I added antibodies, and if there's an agglutination, that antigen is present. So I have A antigen. Do I have B antigen? No. Do I have D antigen? No. So if all I have is A antigen, what's my blood type? A. Okay? If I have the D antigen, what's my blood type? A positive. Okay? So let's come back over here and fill in this chart now, including our D antigen. So blood type A positive means I have the A antigen and the D antigen. If my blood type is A negative, I have only the A antigen. Okay? That sets our pattern. If my blood type is B positive, I have B antigen and D antigen. So when I do this blood typing here, if my blood type is B positive, I'm going to show agglutination for the B antigen, the RH. Whoops.
You got it backwards.
Thank you. I'm going to show agglutination for B and RH, but none for A because I don't have the A antigen. If my blood type is AB positive, B negative, I have only B. AB positive, A and B and D. AB negative, A and B. O positive, D. O negative, nothing. That's a D, not an O. All right, do I change my antibody chart?
No.
No. If I have the D antigen and I'm A positive, I certainly am not going to add the D antibody. If I'm negative and I don't have the antigen, I'm only going to get the antibody if I get exposed to it. So if I'm negative and I have a baby, or I'm negative and I have a transfusion. So I'm only going to get the antibody if I'm exposed to it, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. So here I will have A, and only on exposure, only on exposure will I get the antibody to D. So the parentheses means there's a condition. Okay? You have to have a transfusion or be exposed to it. So, put it on the wrong side here. So here I have B, and again, D antibody only if I'm exposed to it. Here, if I'm AB negative, I might have the D antibody, but again, only if I'm exposed to it. And if I'm O negative, I might have the D antibody only if I'm exposed to it. You have to receive that direct blood exposure, okay, for that to work. Now, if I am positive, it doesn't matter whether I get negative or positive blood. The negative is a cipher. The negative means nothing's there, okay? So if I'm positive, I can receive A positive or A negative. Doesn't matter. Does that make sense? So, positive or negative, positive or negative. If I'm A negative, I don't know for sure. I might have had a transfusion. I might have had a baby that wasn't born that I don't know about. And even if I never did, we don't want to start an immune response. And so we will never give someone who is A negative blood. So they will only receive let me just go ahead and put these. So they will only receive the negative versions of that blood type. Okay? Does that make sense before I go on further? So if you're positive, looking at the D antigen, whether you get it or you don't, it's not going to make any difference. If you're negative, you only want to be given the negative. Okay? So we just go on down. If you're B positive, you can receive positive or negative. If you're B negative, you can only receive negative. If you're AB positive, you can give or can you receive either one. If you're negative, you can only receive negative. So this individual, AB positive, is identified as the universal recipient. That's the safest blood type to have. No matter what, you can receive blood. You receive all the types, and it doesn't matter, you can receive positive or negative. Okay? If you're O positive, you can receive O positive or O negative. Worst kind of type to be is O negative, because all you can get is yourself. Okay? It has to be O negative blood as far as the recipient. Now this is the most generous, even though they can only get themselves, we'll find out this is the universal donor type.
O negative?
O negative. Okay? So now we reverse this, look at the opposite. We don't reverse the rules, but we look at the opposite side. If I'm A positive, I only want to give to A positive. Right? I don't want to give my positive blood to somebody who's negative because they might have a reaction against it. I don't know. So A positive can only give to another positive. Let me just go ahead and save. So positive can only give to positive. But if I'm negative, again, it's a cipher, it doesn't matter. So just like A positive can receive positive or negative, notice negative can go to both. Negative can go to, so this can go to both. B positive can only give to B positive or AB positive, but be negative. Can can give to either. AB positive, only to AB positive, AB negative. It doesn't matter. O positive, only to O positive, AB positive. O negative now, you can see why it's a universal donor. We already knew it could give to all of the OAB types because it
Positive or negative.
doesn't have the antigen. So here we have, so this one is a universal donor. Now let's say that I tell you that a particular blood type has antigens A and D. What would that blood type be?
A positive.
A positive. Blood type is the antigens A and B.
AB.
AB negative. Only antigen D.
O negative. O positive. Excuse me.
O positive. Okay, so you can pretty easily detect the blood type from the antigens that are present. Now let's look at how it happens when we're looking at the antibodies. And the type. So let's say that I have A and B antibodies. What's my blood type?
O.
O. What about the positive or the negative?
Negative.
Shoot, you were doing it really well there. I don't know. Because remember what we wrote over here? I would have antibodies A and B if I'm type O, but I would only have the D antibody if I'd been exposed when I was negative. And I don't know, if I tell you this person has A and B antibodies, you don't know if they're positive or if there's someone who's negative who's never been exposed to the D antigen. You can't say. That's as much as you can say.
You got me. You're good.
Okay? Now, if we change that and we make it A and B and D, the only reason they're going to have the antibodies is if they're negative and we're exposed. So this would be O negative. All right? So that's the only thing you can say for sure is if you have the D antibody. If you don't, you don't know.
So like when you're born, I know on my adoption papers, they say my blood type and stuff. I don't know if that's normal, but someone says, oh, they don't have the RH factor listed for it, they just say,
Oh, okay.
Is that what they
Then you
do?
would need to be, yeah,
Well, I'm not O, I'm just saying is that, is if they haven't been exposed.
it's not an O, you mean positive or negative?
We have positive and negative.
Okay,
Next.
so they don't have that? Yeah. So you would, they're listing the antigen. So the information is incomplete. To know whether you're positive or negative, you would have to be tested for the D antigen. This is looking at the antibody.
Oh,
So today in lab, we're going to be testing for the antigen. We're going to be using antibodies to do it, but we're going to be looking for the antigen. So the reaction on this up here, this is the presence or the absence of the antigen. So you'll definitely know
Negative or false.
if it's present or not. If it's present, it's positive. If it's not present, it's definitely negative. It's the antibody. And that's not a common test. You have to do titers. It's the presence or absence of the antibody for the D antigen that we may not, that if it's present, definitely you're negative. If it's not present, as you can see here, it's not going to be present without some abnormal environmental exposure. Okay? All right, so let me make this one step more difficult. If your blood type has antigen, the only antigen present is D. Try to do it without looking at the table. What blood type can you receive?
O negative.
So what are the steps that you should go through? I know it's a little early to expose you to this, and we'll keep talking about it tomorrow and next week. but it's not, we've already done everything you need to know to answer that question. I want to walk you through it. So antigen is D. The question is,
What blood can you receive from?
what blood type can you receive? And you're one step ahead of the morning class because I didn't ask them this question. So what information do you need to know? To determine this, you need to know what antibodies you have. So the best way is just go through in sequence, don't jump ahead. So if you have the antigen D, what's your blood type?
Plus. O plus.
So your blood type is going to be O positive, correct? That's the only antigen you have. You have no others, so your antigen has to be O. Your blood type has to be O. Since you have the D antigen, your blood type is O positive, all right? The next question to ask is what antibodies you have, because that's going to determine what blood type you can receive. So this is your blood type, all right? What are your antibodies?
A and B.
A and B.
Your antibodies are A, anti-A, and B. So you can't receive any blood type that has those in them. So you can't receive A, you can't receive B,
Can't receive A
and
and
you
B.
can't receive AB. So, without even looking at the chart, you figured that out. So you can only receive O. Now we need to look at the positive and the negative part. This is positive. Can I receive O positive blood? Yes. Can I receive O negative blood? Yes. Okay? If you go step by step, you can figure that out without having the table memorized. Okay? Let's try it for something else. I'll leave that one on the board. You can give blood back to yourself. These are artificial ones. I know, somebody asked this morning. All right, so now let's say that your antigen, I know it was let's say that you have the antigens A in your blood. So what's your blood type? A negative, because you don't have the D antigen. Did everybody follow along with that? Okay? So that's my blood type. Again, without looking at the table, what would my antibodies be? B. And I don't know.
Maybe B.
Maybe B.
Maybe B.
Okay? Because I don't know if I've been exposed or not. So what kind of blood transfusion can I get?
O.
Okay, I can get, so what antibodies are present? I get anything that has B. So I can get A. I can get
O.
O. Can I get AB?
No.
Nope, because I have antibodies against B. All right? Can I get A positive?
No.
No, because I might have antibodies against it. So I can get A negative and O negative. Okay? So if you can figure it out. It's not something that, please don't memorize that table. Okay? It'd be a waste of time. If you understand the rules, you can figure it out for every aspect of it. Okay?
Are you gonna have us fill out a chart like this on a test?
There are, yes. So, I will tell you, I will have multiple choice questions like that over there. All right? I will have 2 or 3 where you'll be reading something like this, similar to your lab, and telling me what the blood type is. And then I'll also have a chart where I'll show it to you. It's a box, and you just mark. So it'll be like AB positive, AB negative, whatever, and then you mark the ones that work or don't work. And they're worth like half a point for each answer, or a quarter point for each answer, whatever, so, yeah. So I'm not gonna have you fill this entire thing out, but I'll choose a couple of those. All right, let's take a break, till 20 after, and then we'll, do lab.